Canon EOS M50 is garbage unless you do this one thing. And no, I'm not stealing from Peter McKinnon. Or am I? You got an awesome camera. The Canon M50 works right out of the box. And as a creative entrepreneur, this is awesome because you're going to be able to create videos, and videos are hot. They're a way to connect with your audience in no other way possible. So the thing of it is, creating video is easier than ever, especially with the Canon M50. But there's one element that's missing, and that is story. And here's what I mean. Basically, the Canon M50 is just a piece of tech. And someone like Peter McKinnon, let's say, could take a Canon PowerShot and make it look like a high-end camera. And he does that through storytelling techniques. Now, the storytelling techniques are something you could learn from Peter McKinnon. Check out this video of him doing coffee. What it is, you can take coffee or any number of common things that you do and create story out of it by breaking it down into its individual elements and then just enhancing it. And that's one of the keys to using the Canon M50 effectively, is learning to basically break things down and have a storytelling structure and technique, and doing that with your creative projects, whether you're doing an online course or whether you create products, like for example, this one right here. This is a shaving bowl. I created this. Now, when you go to the Amazon Marketplace and shop for shaving bowls, there are any number of shaving bowls, and guess what? They all look the same, and there's one thing that drives people to buy, and that's price. Well, and reviews. But all things being equal, a lot of people go towards price. Now, this item that I handmade with lead-free glaze and food-safe materials is something that's going up against something that's bought from China, and it's dirt cheap. So how do I differentiate? That is through story. Now you can check out one of my attempts right here. Well, I inject a little bit of humor. And, you know, it's kind of funny. Thank you, Harmon Brothers. But the thing of it is, there's a lot more to it. And it's not about the camera, it's about what you do with it, obviously, but it's the storytelling techniques. So if you go and you watch Peter McKinnon, you break down his techniques on doing coffee and do the same thing over and over again, you'll develop your storytelling technique. But that's not all. Now, the whole idea here then is to look at how that's done and not get overwhelmed by the tech and not get overwhelmed by all the equipment that a lot of these high-end videographers use to convey that story, because you can use simple natural light. And the more you use natural light, the easier it is. The more you get into a situation where you're having to rely upon artificial lights, the more expensive it gets, and the more you have to kind of get a technique down where you have three-point lighting, where you have a hair light, where you have the front, and it's really hard to master that just right. You can also use adjustments within your camera, but again, it's not about the tech. It's about getting at least a decent visual, maybe not cinematic, maybe not like cinematic like Peter McKinnon, but getting a decent visual, getting some decent audio. But beyond that, it's then just going and saying, how can I break down a simple thing into a story, and practicing that by going, okay, let's take something I do every day and let's break that down into a story. The wonderful thing about like van lifers and travel photographers or videographers is that they have that whole landscape and their travel to help drive their story forward. Whereas the rest of us have to kind of like artificially put that into what we're doing to gain an audience. You know, they have the landscape there as one of the strongest characters of what they're doing. And the thing of it is, even if you don't have that landscape, you still want to have that progression so that you have a story told. Let me show you another example. Now you see, that's another example where the quick movement enhances what you've got there. What they've done isn't hard to do. It's a very simple thing, but to do it effectively takes some skill. So to get that skill down, it's just saying, okay, let's take a simple thing like making coffee and break it down, and then let's do that over and over again and find different ways to enhance it. And then the skills you develop from that, you can then translate to using your camera in other ways. So using your camera to show what you do as a creative entrepreneur, to show the items that you create, to show what you create, to how you affect people, like with your online courses, whatever you're doing as a creative entrepreneur, those elements can be told through story, but it can be hard at first to kind of figure out how to convey that. When you take and break down a cup of coffee and how it's made, you can then do the same thing, and then you can take what you learn and translate it into showing people what you do, showing what you create, and so on. So it's not about the camera. It's about taking those story elements, breaking them down, and then visually telling them in interesting ways. And it's practicing doing that over and over and over again. If you look at Peter McKinnon, the way he started, he had to do one product, and he had to show it over and over again in different ways. You learn from practicing, from the compound effect, and practicing things over and over again, and being okay with sucking. So the whole idea of doing this video was just to say it's not about the camera. Just like Armstrong says, it's not about the bike, it's not about the camera. If you're doing sales funnels and the one funnel away challenge, it's not about the funnel. That's what's so funny. Some people shy away from doing the one funnel away challenge because they think it's about the funnel. It's not about the funnel at all. It's about the hook, the story, and the offer, and how you hook people's attention, how you convey the story of what you offer, the story of what you're doing, or any other stories like we just talked about, and then how you put together not just a product, but an offer, something that is not just one item, but it builds with several different items that allows people to have a fuller experience, and how you're able to pull them in with all of that. It's just not about the funnel. And that's what's so funny, because as a creative entrepreneur, you can go into the One Funnel Away Challenge, which is really inexpensive. It's like $100. Very inexpensive, and you can learn how to hook people in, how to convey that story, and then how to create an offer that's not just a product. So I highly encourage you to check that out. The link is down below. And I do have a bonus on that, having to do with what I think is the critical missing piece in the One Funnel Away Challenge, which is WordPress. It's setting up WordPress. A lot of people will say, oh, it's ClickFunnels versus WordPress, or Kartra versus WordPress, or Convergy versus WordPress, or any of these landing page builders versus WordPress. Well, WordPress has been there around for a long time, and it's there, it's solid, because it's a blogging platform originally. Now, you can do these other things, but a lot of people don't want to, because it involves a little bit more than they want to put into it. But you can use WordPress by itself as a funnel, a landing page builder, and really do everything with WordPress. But a lot of people don't want to. They get scared away from the tech. And that's why Wix and Squarespace and all those other builders have become very popular, because they're very easy to use. Well, these builders make it easy to use, but guess what? They're a third-party platform. So that means any sort of updates they have, they're going to affect you. You have no choice in the matter. You're on their platform. So what WordPress, by having WordPress in that mix, is essential, critical ingredient. It means you can build content and maintain it on your own platform that you control. Meaning when you blog, you're going to want to be putting out content, because that content is like a hook out to your audience to draw them in. But if you blog on a third-party platform and they make changes and you're no longer able to do that, you're going to lose everything. Rather than losing everything, you put it all on WordPress. Doesn't mean you don't use ClickFunnels or you don't use Kartra or Convergy. You do use those for your landing pages, for building out funnels, because it's much easier and faster to also learn how to do all that by using these platforms. But you're going to want to actually create your content on an ongoing basis and put that on your WordPress site. So you're going to use them in conjunction. So I highly recommend checking out the One Funnel Away Challenge. And my bonus is basically I will install Divi Builder, which is one of the best builders out there. You can click on the link below that shows you all the bonuses you can get by going through the One Funnel Away Challenge. Even if you didn't go through my link, I highly encourage you to go through the One Funnel Away Challenge, because at the other end of that, when you go through it, there's a lot to digest, but the other end of that, you'll be able to hook people in better. You'll be able to convey a story better, and you'll be able to create offers instead of products. So I highly recommend it. And the reason I mention that is because if you've got a Canon M50, any sort of camera, again, it's not about the camera. It's about learning, like looking at Peter McKinnon or doing the One Funnel Away Challenge. It's about learning how to use that camera effectively without the tech, because the tech can get in the way. It gets you discouraged. Maybe you think you don't look visually appealing. I don't know. Maybe you think you sound like really weird. I don't know. Everyone thinks their voice looks weird. If you can check out this video for more on that. But basically, it's natural to think you look funny and you sound funny, because hey, we all sound and look funny, right? But it's incrementally getting better over time, and I think the One Funnel Away Challenge helps you that. I think doing challenges and experiments and creating different habits, like breaking down, making coffee into a short story, and then doing that over and over again, enhancing it more and more and more. Doing these small challenges, really, you can develop your skill more, and therefore, it's not about the camera anymore. You've got the skill to take any sort of camera and make it work magic. And that's exactly what Peter McKinnon does. For me, it's the best thing to aspire to. Peter McKinnon and what he does is magic. But you can break down the magic and you can incrementally get there through the compound effect. So I highly encourage you to go beyond the Canon M50 in terms of a camera and use it as a storytelling tool to engage your audience, to build your audience, and to build the connection so that what you create gets to the right people and repels the rest. Hope you found this video useful. If you did, please go ahead and give it a like, and I will see you next time in the next video. Thanks a lot for watching.